Hey, what's up YouTube? Today we're going to be talking about what you can do to make your ex come crawling back to you. Now, to be clear, when I say making your ex come crawling back to you, I'm not talking about making them do this. No, I'm simply talking about making them come back to you. Now, the first thing you should always do if you're wanting to make your ex come crawling back to you is actually take a minute and pause this video. Once you do that, you simply need to look in the description link of this video and take a free quiz that I've basically designed to tell you if you have a chance of getting your ex back. There's nothing worse than spending all of your time trying to get someone back who you really don't even have a chance of getting back. So I've actually put together an awesome quiz. It's completely free, designed to answer this exact question of what kind of chance you have of getting your ex back. So again, simply look in the description link of this YouTube video. Click on the link you see there. It's going to take you to a page that will ask you a bunch of questions about you, your time with your ex, and actually what your ex is like. And then based on how you answer those questions, we're actually going to take your answers, run them through our advanced algorithm, and it's going to spit out a score so that you'll know kind of where you stand with your ex. Again, all you got to do is simply look in the description link below this video, click on the link you see there, and we're going to hook you up.
Today I'm going to be giving you my 4 best tips to make your ex come crawling back, but really what we're looking at here isn't to physically make them come crawling back. We're looking about what we can do to just basically make them come back. What are the 4 most important factors for making this outcome occur? It's a great question and one we're going to answer starting right now. So the first thing I'd like to talk to you about is a little bit about what I like to call leverage theory. Now, leverage, in my opinion, is the most important thing to have when you're going to try to win someone back or make someone come back. A lot of times people approach their exes with no leverage and they don't get the outcomes that they're desiring. And probably the best example of leverage is something that I stumbled across last year when I was watching a TV show called Peaky Blinders. Now, Peaky Blinders is a TV show about the Britain back in right after World War I. And it's about a gang in Britain and its leader, who is part gypsy, and his name is Tommy Shelby. And he said a quote that immediately grabbed my attention in this show that sort of had me sold immediately. Here was the quote: "You don't parlay when you're on the back foot." Now, this quote is interesting because it's all about leverage. It's basically saying you don't make a deal with someone unless you have some type of leverage or something that you can bring into the equation. And I think that's the main problem why most people fail to get their exes back. They come at this without understanding any type of leverage. They have no idea of why their ex would want to come back to them. Now, you're probably sitting there and wondering, well, Chris, what would that look like? What would leverage look like? Well, leverage can be anything from brains, beauty, to envy, to kind of being on the outside looking in. So probably the most shallow and actually most common example of leverage that I see, especially with women, is this. It's where your ex literally thinks, they were the best person, the best looking person I ever dated. That is leverage, because that is a reason, a potential idea that they could have in their head of why they would want to take you back. Now, that's all leverage is. It's giving your ex a reason or having something that you can bring to the table that would actually make them want to come back to you. You need to understand what that leverage is. So if you are sitting alone right now and you're trying to think, well, what would my leverage be? Think about what would have to occur for your ex to want to come back to you. And that will be your leverage. You basically take that leverage and you go to town on it. Now, leverage isn't the only thing that we need to pay attention to. The other thing that we need to pay attention to is that you need to be willing to lose your ex to get your ex. Now, this is a hard thing for people to swallow, but fear of loss is an essential part of this process. I don't really see a way around it. Now, what do I mean by that? Fear of loss. Well, it's having the ability to be okay and walk away, showing your ex what they're missing out on. It's impossible for them to, quote unquote, get them to come crawling back to you if you're always waiting around for them. Just today, there was someone in our private Facebook group who was talking about their ex. Now, their ex, this is someone who they have every right to be angry with. Their ex broke up with them to basically be with someone else and wanted to still remain friends, kind of to make this person a second option. And the interesting thing was, the person didn't really do a great job of showing to their ex that, look, this is a one-time thing, even if it's not really a one-time thing. They kind of stuck around and they kind of let themselves be treated this way. And as a result, they got stuck in this perpetual wheel where their ex always would come to them as a second choice. And that's what I want to avoid. So probably the best example of this is actually a story that I can tell you about my dad. When I was around 11 years old, my dad had the grand idea to get this piece of junk. This is the Honda Odyssey. Back in the day, the Honda Odyssey looked nothing like this, but I do remember very distinctly that car had this kind of automatic open doors. And he wanted to get it because my brother, me, and my mom, it kind of made it easier to lug us all around. So he did something really interesting. He understood that when you go and deal with car salesmen, you technically have all the leverage. Really, a car salesman can't make any money unless they sell cars, right? They'll make maybe even below minimum wage if they don't sell any cars. And if you understand that going in, you need to understand that they want to sell the car. They want to sell the car and get the most money for themselves. And there's not a ton of things they can do to themselves to push the price down. But everyone wants to get a car off their lot. They don't want it sitting around. It's going to cost more money to have it sit on the lot than to sell it to someone. So what he did is he lugged our whole family around from car dealership to car dealership to car dealership, trying to get the best price. And he kind of worked all the prices, and he worked each one of them down until he got a price that he wanted. But there was one particular car salesman that just would not come down on their price. And I remember we had papers. He had literally papers in front of him. Our whole family that was there, me, my mom, my dad, obviously, who's trying to broker the deal, and my brother, were all there. The car salesman at this point thinks we are too invested. Once you're getting to this level, no one ever walks away. But that's exactly what my dad did. They wouldn't give him the price that he wanted. He knew they could afford to go lower. They wouldn't be willing to. So he said, come on, we're going. Gets up and we walk to the door. And as we're at the door, the guy flags us down, says, come back, and gives us a lower price. This is an example of using fear of loss, which is a type of leverage, and being willing to walk away. Most of the people I work with aren't willing to walk away from their exes. They're too scared to. But if you play a game of chess, you're always sacrificing pieces to win the game. The same thing applies here. You have to be willing to sacrifice all of the good times that you had with your ex in order to win this game, because that's all it is. Whether you like it or not, this is a game, and your ex is winning. So that's the second big recommendation I would recommend for people to keep an eye out for. The third thing that I'd like to talk about is actually the idea of cultivating an image that your ex adores. I saw a movie a couple of days ago called A Star is Born. It was Bradley Cooper's very first directorial experience. It was a great movie. Now, I'm always very interested in the essence of movies and what makes a movie great. What has to happen? Where do the writers of the screenplay get their ideas? And so, of course, being interested in the movie, I went and watched a bunch of interviews with Bradley Cooper. Now, Bradley Cooper said something really interesting. He said in the movie, he really wanted you to connect with the love story going on. He really wanted to show you what it was like to sort of hang out with someone who's a celebrity and what the night would look like. And he said that was the thing when he moved to Hollywood that really struck him as fascinating, how you would sort of go out with your very popular, successful celebrity friends, and that experience is so much different than hanging out with your normal friends. You can start the night maybe at this amazing club that, hardly anyone can get access to, and then you end the night at a pizza joint. Right? You just have no idea where the night takes you, and that's a thrilling experience and something that he remembers fondly back when he first started his Hollywood experience. And I think that's an interesting and perfect example of how to cultivate an image that someone adores. Your ex is going to be paying attention to you after a breakup. They just do. There's statistics that prove that a lot of them will sorry about that, a lot of them will stalk you, right? They'll stalk you on social media like Facebook and try to keep an eye out for what you're doing. So if you can cultivate this image and sort of make them feel like they're the outsider looking in and make them feel like, man, I wish I was there experiencing that with him, or I wish I was there experiencing that with her, it's going to go a long way, and they're going to want to actively come back into your life. And the last thing is to actually be excited when you talk to them. Now, in my experience from dealing with lots of different people and just my own life experience of being on this world for 29 years, I've learned that often the very best ideas or theories or concepts are the simplest ones. And perhaps one of the most simple but brilliant concept that I personally came up with was what I like to call the good feelings versus bad feelings theory. Now, the good feelings versus bad feelings theory is a very simple one to understand. Basically, people are going to be drawn to things or others who make them feel good. And we're going to avoid or repel or run away from things that make us feel bad. Now think about this for a moment. Everything that matters is how we feel. It's not so much if the thing is good for us or bad for us, because I can tell you there's a lot of things that are bad for you that can make you feel good that people are drawn to. Drugs, for example, right? So what really matters is how someone feels. And if you're talking to your ex, let's say you're talking and have a conversation with them, and it always irks me when I'm talking to one of my clients or my coaching clients, and they sit there and tell me that they got into a fight with their ex, or they said something rude to their ex, or they called their ex a name. All you're doing is just giving them bad vibes. You're working away from your ultimate goal. Things that make them feel bad, they're going to repel. Now, on the other hand, if they feel like they get a shot of excitement or a shot of feeling good when they're around you or they're talking to you, they're going to be gravitating more towards talking to you again. I don't know why this is lost on people, but it is. And it's something that you really need to pay attention to if you want to make your ex come crawling back to you.